Welcome to the Miracle You, guiding you on the journey towards finding passion and purpose and how to discover, create, and live a life by your design. Whether your success has been plentiful or your missed opportunities have been overwhelming, we can help you become a more empowered, masterful person and show you how to share your gift with the world. It's time to inspire change from within with the host of the Miracle You, Vince Kramer.
Hello, imagination. I'm Vince Kramer, your host, and welcome to the Miracle You, where you learn about the magic of living your life by finding the example in real life.
One of the things that I haven't shared with the Miracle You Imagination group is the understanding of what our mind is. Our mind is the consciousness or the level of awareness that we hold at any given time. Now, through Imagine Miracles, we try to increase the level of awareness of each person that comes into our programs, that listens to our podcast, that hear me speak. And through the understanding of a new way, looking at a new paradigm on how to show up in life, how to live your life, how to bring yourself into community of support, is all taking you to, once again, a higher level of awareness, which is the same as taking you to a higher level of consciousness. Now, because we have that information, because we have the ability for that higher level of consciousness, doesn't mean that in any given moment we're operating at that consciousness. Doesn't mean that our mind includes that higher level of consciousness. We may be in a lower level of consciousness. We may be in a level that just includes our subconscious and our old beliefs or our old patterns, our old behaviors. So the question is, one, are you willing to increase your level of consciousness by looking at things in a new way, learning things that haven't been taught to you before, understanding principles and concepts that are different than most the world is operating under? And then once you are aware of that level of consciousness, then can you purposely hold it in your day-to-day mind and operate from that place? We're going to talk about consciousness today, and we're going to talk about things called the idea mind. We're going to talk about stepping into and following the creators. This is an opportunity for you to listen to something from a new perspective. And once again, just like anything else at Imagine Miracles, if this works for you, hold on to it and begin to live your life from that new awareness. If it doesn't work for you, just allow it to go. But I challenge you in every aspect of life, listen, take it in, then weigh it for yourself and make a decision if it's something that you want to hold on to. I'm with Divneet Kaur Lall today. Divneet is an author, speaker, and conscious expert. She is a discoverer of the Law of Unification, which empowers people to create new creations for the world and conscious life of purpose. She helps individuals to master innovation, mental clarity, and self-knowledge for personal and social transformations. She has spent the past 2 decades studying consciousness development and self-mastery. She is dedicated to supporting individuals and leaders and accelerating their journey to fulfillment. Divneet, are you ready to share the miracle of you with the imagination?
Yes, absolutely.
I'm so excited to have you here. We are so in alignment with what we are here to bring to the world. And it's exciting for me to hear the tools of other people on this path and to really understand what brought you to bringing this gift of yours to the world. So before we get started in the interview, could you share a little bit more about yourself and what you're doing?
Yes, Vince, thank you so much for having me, first of all. And I have spent like almost 2 decades studying consciousness development and self-mastery. And it all started with my deep interest in reading spiritual texts and books as a child. So I was like more interested in the things which were, behind the scenes rather than in front of my eyes. So this is what took me onto this path, and I brought this new law of unification in my book, Mastering Creation Using the Law of Unification.
Excellent. Thank you so much for sharing that. While we're on the subject, let's talk a little bit about the Law of Unification. What does it say?
Yes. So I'll start. Like, I'll just share a little bit about how it, came into existence. Like, I'll just share the procedure, how actually I worked upon it. So while I was I was doing this, I was living my life, I was working, I was having I had this degree, I started working, and then I balanced everything with my meditation practices. So there was this desire, which was to know the truth of creation. And I kind of, put it on a back seat, focusing upon the material world. And soon I became aware that this desire to know the truth was growing. And there was this very, very strong urge, which was there. And so I chose to give it some attention. And I thought I should spend some time in solitude, and I tried doing some self-inquiry practices. And then what happened was, one day when I was meditating, I was doing all these practices. These meditation practices, they kind of just stopped working. They kind of, it was like I was forcing stillness. And, in meditation, we try to become more still. But I found that stillness was already there. Stillness was present. And also the knowledge which I learned from all these spiritual texts and books, it kind of faded away, and another kind of knowledge, or kind of a wisdom started coming in, and there was these ideas which started pouring in, and they were coming in with huge force, which I just felt I tapped into some source of huge, a reservoir of something which was truly a provider of fulfillment. And this source, actually, it created a force inside me. There was this force which was forcing me to work on this whole thing. And I used to do research earlier as well. As I was kind of that. I used to research, I used to study about consciousness. But then this kind of started happening very forcefully, and I continuously started working on this thing. And I read so many books again. I started researching, and this source which I tapped into, I call this an idea mind. And I found this existence in various motives of creator gods, and various, how a creator works, or how an inventor works, or how their mind get their ideas, and how they create new creations. And the same idea was there, the same, the underlying pattern was there, the same formula was there in all these things. So I came upon this whole formula of creation, and I introduced it in Mastering Creation Using the Law of Unification. Now, Law of Unification is, it has been devised from the motives of creator gods. So if a lot of people may have heard, and I don't know, I mean, many people have not heard about it. So Quetzalcoatl, Isis, all these creator gods, and even more, they have this similar kind of motive. They are represented by an eagle or a bird, and by a snake or a reptile, but a combination of both of these. And similarly, when we talk about the geniuses, they create their things from this. They get their ideas from this another, when their mind stops. So for a microsecond, their mind stops, and they get their idea. So it doesn't come from the mind; it comes from another source. So that is what I call the idea mind. Now, so even the creator gods, they are showing this combination of two realms, maybe two planes, and that's the formula of creation. And then geniuses, they kind of combine the idea from the idea mind, and then they use it to create new creations using the mind. Again, they are combining, they're unifying two minds. So this is law of unification. So when we unify the idea mind, when we unify the idea mind with the mind, and this is not done easily. There are so many forces which stops us from connecting with that idea mind. It stops our mind from connecting with the plane of idea mind where the ideas comes from. So when we connect, when we unify them, we have the formula of creation. We are able to create, we are able to evolve. And not only we are able to create, this idea mind actually, because we are, idea mind is on a higher level. When we talk about idea mind, it's not on a level where our mind works. So we can say, oh, first comes our mind, and then is the idea mind. And then there is this higher field of consciousness, which provides, which connects to the idea mind, giving ideas to the mind. So this is how it works. And
let me ask you this,
yeah.
Divneet, as you started to uncover this and this information came to you, what happened in your 3D world that moved you into wanting to bring this to the world and share it to the world? What kind of wake-up calls did you have?
Right. So now what happened was, I told you very briefly about this. And the time I was meditating, the first thing which happened was something just, kind of disappeared. So it was the feeling was very empty. It was disorienting. And there was this kind of darkness, a dark kind of thing there. Now, this was when the dissolution happened, it kind of, the person who was doing everything. So I was not able to meditate because now the person who was meditating was not actually there. It kind of, simply just went away, disappeared. And it took some time. So maybe over a period of, months or a few, it took a lot of time, I would say. But then it kind of started stabilizing. And once the things started stabilizing, it got brighter. Like I told you earlier, it was very dark. It was empty. It started getting brighter. So things like when I used to go out, it's not very evident inside, but when I move out, maybe in the in this open area, or maybe when I stand on my balcony, when I look outside, it looks very bright. It was not like that before. So this kind of brightness came into the life, which was very beautiful, of course.
What, as one of the things that you shared with us is that you started meditating at a very young age. Could you explain how you started to meditate at that age, and what kind of things were going on with you in the meditation before things started to go dark?
It was very sudden. So I did not got any kind of, things. It was very simple thing. Meditation was there, like I was meditating. But yes, definitely what was happening in the outer world was that I was losing this interest in this kind of the material world, maybe, or maybe what I was doing. I was losing this interest. So I was also amazed because, I always wanted to do the work I was doing, and it was never like I never wanted to do it. So I was happy with it. And suddenly it kind of felt like I kind of disconnected with it. And I had to leave it at any cost. It was like that. And a lot of times it was like, I joined something. I went to my office, and I kind of felt I have to run from that place. I could not stay there. It was like that. Yeah, that was happening for sure. And it was happening a bit before, when this kind of dissolution, or that came in, the darkness or the dissolution came in, the emptiness came in. It happened before that.
So was it a realization that came to you that there was more and you were supposed to be doing something different, or was it just a change in you that you didn't even recognize a calling to step into that space?
I think the first thing that came in was the light, or this peace and stillness. So at that moment, I was not thinking what I have to do. So that moment was like, everything is now gone, empty. I mean, that is the time when you just cannot think. It's more like when the person dissolves, it's more like you do not know. It was disorienting, and you're like, still the mind was there, because at that stage the mind is still working when the person dissolves. So it's like the person is controlling everything. So in the beginning in our lives, what happened, we plan things, the person controls everything, like, this is what I'm doing, this is. And when that dissolution happens, the person dissolves. Now the mind is still there. Now mind is confused, like, what is happening? So something that was controlling everything is not there. Now who is going to control that? What is going to happen? And so if I talk about it in simple words, I think what happens that is that the idea mind starts controlling, the mind. Once that thing, the person dissolves, the idea mind takes over and controls it, and life starts flowing easily. And we don't think about it, like what we have to do. And it just kind of unfolds, the things unfold. The force came into me, I have to research about this, or I have to work on this. I never thought about it in the beginning. I I told you, I was living a very normal life, and I was okay with it. But yeah, when this happened, and the whole trajectory or the path we took changed. And I think one thing that helped me was that I kind of chose that, because it could happen that uh, I had this urge inside me to know the truth, because of which I used to read those texts and books. But if had I not chosen that, so like I said, I started spending time in solitude, and I started, meditate or self-inquiry. I did some self-inquiry. Yeah, so that was thing which maybe helped, and that also helped in the time when it was very disorienting. So it was all inside. It was not outside. It was like, when I say darkness or brightness, it's like I could not even explain it. It's like it's something in front of your eyes. That emptiness is in is in yourself, and that darkness is in front of your eyes, but it's not visible to others. It's like it's not that, just the things appear more dark, and then when the brightness starts coming in, it starts becoming more full. So that emptiness starts getting full, and things start appearing more bright.
Your awakening was quite different than most people experience. To be able to step into that at Imagine Miracles, we would call it that you had a conscious wake up, and that conscious wake up was really tied to the multidimensionality of you, and that really allowed you to step fully into, and your willingness to step fully into a new discovery, looking at a new way, maybe a new paradigm, was very, very powerful. I've got some questions that I think will help the listeners considerably. But before we do that, could you give me your definition of consciousness?
Yes. So if we talk about consciousness, so I would say it's like it's everywhere. So everything is consciousness. So if we talk about anything, maybe a person, a thing, everything is consciousness somewhere, this kind of field which covers everything. So if I say, when I see bright, something is bright, why it's bright, why suddenly it appeared bright, earlier it was not. Maybe I just became more aware, and I was able to see that subtle layer. I don't know how to even describe it, the field which just got conscious. So it's everywhere, although, but yes, consciousness, it has levels now. So if I say I'm getting more aware, that means I'm vibrating on a higher plane. I am on a higher level of consciousness. We can use various words with it. We can say it's energy, it's vibration. So people use various terms with it. So we can use that, and it's always evolving. So consciousness flows from through a person, through beings, but through human beings, it's always evolving. Like it has provided us so many things so that we can use them to evolve, and we can use that to evolve the planet as well. So yeah, and once we become aware, like once we reach a heightened level of awareness, we can say that we're on a higher level of consciousness.
When we're in a higher level of awareness or a higher level of consciousness, awareness and consciousness is pretty much the same thing. Where when we move into a higher level of awareness, this is kind of a do you agree or disagree question. When we move into a higher level of awareness, it doesn't necessarily mean that we're operating in that level of awareness or that level of consciousness all the time. So I would say our mind is the awareness that we allow in at the time, and that doesn't necessarily mean that we allow our higher level of awareness in all the time. Do you agree with that or disagree with that?
So these two words, awareness and consciousness, these are very they can be used interchangeably too. But when we talk about awareness here, we talk about like, again, I'll give you an example here now. We talk about, for example, are we aware what we are doing? Like, if I have a habit, am I doing something out of habit, or am I aware of this habit? So when awareness increases, I'm able to watch myself doing something. I'm able to, see my patterns or my behaviors, and I'm able to easily take a deeper look at them. But when I'm less aware, I'm not able to do that. And same thing happens when we connect with higher consciousness. When we connect with that higher consciousness, we just became more aware, and it happens. And it's also, you can say vice versa. When we become highly aware, we obviously get more conscious. You can also say one more thing, that, it's we become highly aware. Like if we try to become highly aware, we can get in touch with a higher level of consciousness. And if in case we get in touch with the higher level of consciousness, we will become highly aware. So yeah, so I mean, I do not know if you have understood it, but
Yes, I understood what you said.
okay.
So let me ask you this, Divneet. As you go about through the law of unification, helping people understand how to tap into that higher level of consciousness, what type of methods do you use, or how do you help people move into that higher level of consciousness space?
Yes. So with this law of unification, now we follow the path of the creators. So creators follow the law of unification, and we simply follow their path. So how we use this law of unification, there are forces of lower levels of consciousness, which kind of bind us to lower levels. We have to raise higher from them, and we have to reach out to the higher level of consciousness. And when we raise ourselves, when we overcome these forces, we kind of connect with the idea mind. So idea mind is more like a ladder towards that higher consciousness. It's a link between the higher consciousness and the human mind or human beings. So we overcome these forces. We overcome these forces using willpower, and there are so many beautiful exercises which I've also used in my, I have kind of shared in my book as well. So I'll share one simple one, how we can use willpower and raise or overcome these forces. So let us say, if, for example, I have this habit of doing something. The first one is meet commitments. Meet commitments, or say or do what you say. how this happens is if I say someone, like if I tell a friend that I'm gonna call my friend at 5 p.m. in the evening, I should call, or I have to call. So that's how I'll meet my commitment. If I commit myself, or if I tell myself that I have to eat apple in the morning, I should do that. This is how, these are the small ones, because this is like a muscle. Now willpower is like a muscle, and once we start once we start building this, exercising this muscle, we gain a lot of control over our lower impulses over time. And this helps us in overcoming the forces of lower levels of consciousness, which are again, related to these lower levels of impulses. So this is the first step towards unification. And then how there are other practices I have shared in the book, which where people can connect or unify, how we connect with the idea mind, and then unification happens, and then we can, use it to create new creations for the world, or maybe two. So there is also this, like, a step where people can go beyond consciousness, where, the if so creators are on that path, creating new creations, evolution, and evolution can take you into beyond into that realm of conscious, where it's beyond everything. So that is also possible with this.
Could you share with us maybe a little bit deeper on the creators?
Yes. So so creators here, when I say creators, I talk about uh, every creator who has created something to evolve this world. And I also talk about the creators who have, spent a lot of time to create their lives in the most authentic way possible. So I also talk about them. It's not that a person who is just living his life in the most, or creating his life in the most authentic way, is not a creator. That person is also a creator. That person is following his or her individual dharma, his or her own purpose that is ordained to him by the higher level of consciousness. And that is what creators do. Creators follow their individual dharma. Now, individual dharma is like the highest duty which the consciousness ordains to the person, to evolve his life and to evolve the whole, the whole everything, like in the world, the planet, everything. And another thing creators do is they challenge the old conditioning. So now this is different from changing the old conditioning. For changing the old conditioning, all we need to do is change it. But challenging is to, like, rise higher above those lower levels of forces, and bring something new from that higher level and give it form into the world.
So could you give us some examples of who are creators in the world, or creators that have been in the world?
Yes. So if I talk about some, some people who have given us beautiful things which have taken the world ahead, so that would be the famous ones, because they're already famous and we know them. Let us say about Einstein. So he has given something to the world, right? He has created something. And creators they don't even bother about, what other people think. They just walk on their path. They just take on that higher duty to follow their purpose. They don't think about what other people are going to think. They focus all their attention on their work. And yes, this is also one trait. So for the creators, work is kind of a worship. So even I guess there is also this quote by Albert Einstein, which says, if you want to live a fulfilling or a happy life, tie it to a goal, right? Is there? I think I have read it somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, it's there. And so they kind of, tie to a purpose of, evolving the world and creating something. And then there are a lot of creators, similar kind of geniuses, who have created things which, they saw this idea of their creation in their dreams, in their visions. They got these visions. And uh, we have this Auguste Kekulé, and he got this vision, and where he introduced this formula again, not the formula, but I guess it was this whole model which he introduced for this. I guess it was the scientist who did that, and he also said, like, let us learn to dream. Like, we should learn to dream, but we should be beware of publishing those dreams, and until it has been like put to the proof of waking understanding. And this is something which again represents the formula of creation. So when they get their dreams, they kind of use their mind. So they get their dreams or the idea from the idea mind, and then they use their mind to put that into practice, to bring it into the world. And that is how the unification happens. So they unify their minds. They unify both the minds and use the formula of creation to bring their creation into the world.
So if someone has a purpose of supporting others who may bring these big ideas, these big dreams in, and that's their dream, to be a supporter, they're living their purpose. Are they or are they not creators?
Yes, absolutely. I said so. All those people who are living or who are connected to their, authentic purpose, they are creators. Now, what is it to rise above the lower levels of consciousness? It's simply that lower levels of consciousness, they kind of, a lot of times, they kind of, deviate us from our true purpose. So this is a very, very, this is an example which I give to everyone almost. It's very easy to understand. So suppose I see something on social media or television, and and it's very expensive, and I would be like, oh, I want to get rich now. I want some money. So now this becomes my purpose. So I would put all my effort to, earning more money, getting rich, so that I can buy that thing. And this happened because I was not aware. I was looking at that thing again and again, and it kind of, became a conditioning. And if I would be aware, I would be like, okay, I'm seeing this thing, but maybe no, I do not need it, or maybe it's not my purpose. But when I'm not aware, I'm like sleepwalking. I simply, follow things. I see it on social media. I see it on television. I see people outside doing that, and I'm going to follow it. So this is how lower levels of consciousness, when we are not aware, they kind of deviate us from a path, and we forget what we are here for.
Mm-hmm.
So if we have to fulfill our true purpose, we have to first of all rise above these, and we have to develop that discernment, which is developed by practicing. By the first step, as I told, is to practice that willpower, because if we do not use that, it's always there. The willpower is there. We just need to use that. And if we are not using that, obviously we will be.
So let me ask you this, Divneet. As you see the world developing, and as you bring your message to the world, what kind of difference do you want to make in the world?
All right. Difference. I would say the only thing I want is that if I experience something, and if I think it's available, like this new levels of consciousness, which we kind of, opens your mind to so many things, so many possibilities. So I want that everyone must experience it. Why one should get it? Everyone should be able to, get in touch with that, get in touch with the idea mind, and use it to create their authentic life. And I think that is how the planet is going to evolve. If we are going to remain attached to those lower levels of consciousness, we are not going to evolve anyway.
That's for sure. So could you share a part of just a piece of parting guidance to the imagination on how to start that movement, that journey towards opening their minds, experiencing the idea mind?
Yes. So the first, like again, I told that the same thing, the willpower, we have to exercise that. That's the first step to overcome the forces. And then we can also use solitude and self-inquiry to get in touch with that idea mind, because even if we do not have time for meditation practices, I think everyone can spend a little bit of time in solitude, at least with themselves, to become more aware, to just know what they truly want, or what is truly there inside them, or what their purpose is here in the world. Just by so many, surrounded by so much information in the world, so much of content in the world, we forget about what we are truly here for.
Could you share, Divneet, how people could get in touch with you and learn more about what you're doing and maybe get your book?
Yes, people can get in touch with me on my website. It's divneetkaurlall.com, DivneetKaurlall.com. And for the book, yes, on my website, we have this link, order the book, and they can get into. So once they click their link, there is this whole retailer list where they can find the book. And it's also available on Amazon. So the name is Mastering Creation Using the Law of Unification.
And all that information will be available on Divneet's show page. Just go to miracleu.com, look for Divneet's episode, and all that information will be available to you. It was so wonderful to have you on today to share the Law of Unification, to really give people an idea of what stepping into a higher level of consciousness is and can do for them, and more importantly, the world. So thank you so much, Divneet, for joining us today.
Thank you, Vince. It was a great pleasure.
On behalf of Mary, my business partner, and my wife, and the entire Imagine Miracles community, we want to wish you a miracle day.
You've completed this episode of The Miracle You, but we have plenty more to help you discover your own personal passion and purpose. Head over to themiracleu.com for free resources to assist you on your journey, as well as register for our free webinar, Discover Your Miracle Life, 3 mind awakening steps toward your unique purpose, or apply for a one-on-one Your Life, Your Way breakthrough session and discover your next best step on your journey. All available exclusively on our website. That's themiracleu.com. We look forward to sharing more experiences of passion, purpose, and life by design next time, right here on The Miracle You.